as we have spawning up in the top right for Team Liquid. He needs your energy. He's trying to make the playoffs. It is MaNa.
And trying to take a page from the Ghost Seer, BattleB, he's trying to be the EMP.
Just gonna take the role of the StarCraft 2 joke explainer for a moment. For anyone who missed it, that is a reference to draining your mana, being left with nothing there.
Oh, thank you, Steadfast. Glad you can help out.
Absolutely. That's what I'm here for. I was like, wait a minute. Oh. It's good stuff. MaNa, by the way, going to start off with just a scouting probe saying, hey, I don't want to lose this. I know how much this series means. I can drop a map. I cannot drop the series, but I'm just going to look around. So, okay, there's a lot of very funky scenarios. We kind of went over it a little bit. MaNa, if he wins, he is in. The 3 players below him it does not matter. If he loses, he is out, because one of Akaran and Christiana will end up with a better series score than MaNa. And then things get very weird if Akaran wins 2-1 and then Hellraiser wins 2-0. Hellraiser could still make the playoffs. That's why we have such a wide open Group A. Just wild.
Yeah, I gotta give credit to the script writers. We gotta point out what BattleB is doing here for a moment. He is leaning into that aggression. Open barracks double gas. This means that Command Center is gonna be low, and MaNa is an absolute animal. He just blocks the add-on. If this barracks wants to build anything other than Reapers, other than Marines at a time, it's gonna have to move. And that is just so obnoxious there. MaNa also unlocking opportunities, maybe to get Adepts in later, because that won't be a full wall. But this Adept is only getting chroned out just now. But as I was saying, Steadfast, absolute credit to the scriptwriters of this season. The fact that so many of our groups are wide the hell open on the final day, well, makes me happy at least.
Oh, it makes me ecstatic as well. We are going to see this Adept coming out just in time to prevent any probe damage. He did go Gate Nexus Cybernetics Core, I believe, based on the timing of that Adept. But the Stargate gets scouted, and that's good information for BattleB. BattleB is going to drop down the Tech Lab. He's already been building that, but it's going to be a Cyclone almost certainly as his first unit. And to that end, look at this now wall that BattleB has now used. He's now using MaNa's pylon as a part of the wall.
Yeah, but that's kind of a problem, isn't it, Steadfast? Because eventually this pylon will go down. You either have the choice of, well, giving MaNa a permanent scout of about 1/3 of your base, or having to knock it down, at which point the wall is wide open again, and it becomes rather complicated. You gotta use it like a 3rd supply depot, and life is pain. But now the 2 Adepts, they're on the other side of the map, and because BattleB went for the barracks double gas, his command center is delayed, which means as he gets it on the low ground, that it is just not going to complete for a while. Reaper's on the other side, though, is going to force a recall here, so not quite as bad for BattleB as it might otherwise be expected. 2 workers go down. Oracle does a good job knocking the Reapers, but that's energy on the Oracle that you might otherwise want to use on the other side of the map. So the game gets a little funky. It gets a little funky.
It does. I'm very surprised by the fact that MaNa recalled those Adepts and then used the energy anyways from the Oracle to try and knock down. I'd like that he used the energy from the Oracles, but I don't think he needed a recall. Now, there was going to be a Cyclone coming out pretty soon anyways, so maybe that's what he was worried about. And he was like, you know what, I just don't want to have to worry about these units. I want to keep them safe. I want to get them home. They are important. If you can't get good damage done with them and you just lose them early on, that's a lot of map control lost in the early game, and he doesn't want to have to deal with that. That's kind of what it feels like. Oh, speaking of which, we do see the Adept getting into the main base, but it does get spotted. Now it sees that they're... Oh, did it? No, it didn't see the additional barracks, so it doesn't actually know. MaNa doesn't yet know that it is not a big commitment to, like, to aggression, basically. Similar to what we've seen Big Gabe doing so much, Beyond doing quite a bit, like, this really dedicated, you just keep building units off your 1-1-1, you keep sending them across the map.
Yeah, and with 3 Cyclones here, that is a lot of threat on what MaNa has. He's getting charged on the way, sure, but that's about 30 seconds out. He's getting Phoenix, sure, but he really only has 1 at the front of things right now. This push from BattleB is going to be absolutely terrifying, but he does leave his mineral line absolutely exposed. So 3 workers go down here to start. I think the 3rd base is just a gimme. I don't know that MaNa is going to be able to hold that, but he's going to try here. I don't know that this is the play. He's going to lift 1 Cyclone, and it's just the Phoenix is going down. Steadfast, this doesn't really feel like what you want to do if you're MaNa.
No, it does not. Now, the Guardian Shield is helping out an immense amount against the Marines, even against the Viking here. He will lift the Cyclone, and actually, MaNa's going to be able to hold this. I think right now we see a big difference between Hero Marine and BattleB right there. MaNa able to get 7 kills on the other side of the map and also keep his third Nexus alive. That went so much better for MaNa than I ever expected, and I really think the star of that fight was the Guardian Shield.
Oh, it really was. Knocking down 2 damage a shot from all these Marines. I guess the Cyclone lock-on, right? That's magic damage that isn't affected. But
yes, yeah.
From everything else, yeah, no, absolutely. Especially as we got down to effectively 1.5 Stalkers, 1 healthy Stalker, 1 Stalker, very, very heavily damaged. Guardian Shield did make the difference, but BattleB does have more rounds of aggression on the way. He's got his +1, he's got his stim, he's got his combat shields. And as you pointed out, this was not the Hero Marine type push. It was not the perpetual rally of stuff and stuff and stuff and stuff. He did have those additional barracks behind him. So we're going to have to see what he can get done with this. Did he pare enough of MaNa's army down that is going to enable the next level of a push as the Oracle dives in? But Cyclone gets a decent lock on and Oracle's pushed out. At least it knows what's happening, though.
That would have been worth it for a scan to kill that Oracle 100%. And I think he had the energy because I just heard a mule drop down. I would have really liked to have seen a scan there to kill that Oracle. That was... I understand you want to drop mules, and especially because he took some big economic damage. But like the ability to prevent revelation is worth so much to you. And BattleB is committing pretty significantly to army supply. He's not building workers at the moment. Like, not having this army revelated, being able to slip drops out onto the map would be super valuable. As it is, we are going to see MaNa. He did go for the quick charge. He's getting into Colossus right now, but I don't know. This feels like the kind of thing. Wait, hang on. Did he just pick off the Oracle? He did. Oh, well, he gets the Oracle now.
And Steadfast, we got to point this out here. BattleB is not getting ready for a third base. He's got his 4th and 5th barracks on the way. So it's a 5 Rex coming in from the Berserker Terran. And that does... It means he's going to have a lot of pressure for the next several minutes, but it also means that he has to absolutely get something done here. MaNa batting down the hatches, does not know the 4th and 5th barracks are being made by the way, but he still senses aggression. So he's adding on static defense, cannons, and shield batteries as he tries to buy time. The whole point of this push, the whole point of this hold is your charge loss, and there are not a lot of them in this army right now. That being said, not a ton of Widow Mines either, so not a lot of the anti-charge lot counter, and now the first Colossus is done. +1, very close to being ready here. So now the Zealots, they run forward. Tank sieges up. Widow Mines get some actually fantastic shots, and now really it is just the beefier units from MaNa, but he will force BattleB back for the moment. Next round of reinforcements, though, on the way.
Oh, this drop. If MaNa gets on top of it with that Phoenix, there is one medevac that's like 4 shots away from death. But looks like BattleB does respond quite quickly and will not fly into that. If he had, that would have been maybe 10 supply going down just about instantly. Little Zealot run by coming on in. Oh, not going to get anything done. Did get the SCV that was trying to take a third base, I believe, but BattleB just decides to build that at home. Now, on the other side, we do see this triple drop coming on in. Does manage to get unloaded. Oh, this Colossus is really derping out. Could have walked up to the high ground, doesn't elect to do so. We do see the attack coming in to the natural here. MaNa attacking the unbuildable plates for a moment. Does actually tank the Widowmine shot with the Colossus, which is probably the best case scenario for where that Widowmine shot goes in terms of defensively for MaNa. It's a lot of chaos being thrown his way, but he is still up in supply, still doing well in this game. Does lose that Phoenix, which is going to make it tracking these drops a little more difficult. BattleB, though, has not yet broken MaNa by any stretch. No,
but he is starting to swarm a little bit. The drops on the left and right side. You pointed out, right, the supply of MaNa is simply better. He's up about 16 workers. But at the very least, he is at least starting to get some level of economic damage. That does slow MaNa down a little bit. And as all-in as this was from BattleB, he's trying to transition out of it. He's got his third base now just about done, and that is a very late third base. It's almost 10 minutes. But at least he has that option. Vikings now being made. He's got Ghosts on the way as well. And we talked about this at the start of the game. What's one way to remove MaNa from a series?
By EMPing them.
Exactly.
By EMPing the MaNa. But yeah, to put it in perspective, MaNa's fourth base finished up at almost the exact same moment that BattleB's third command center finished. And of course, that command center has to morph into an orbital. Oh, we are going to see Oh, Blink was about 5 seconds away from that being a very dead medevac. We're going to see the Zealot drop coming into the main base. MaNa already starting to disrupt his opponent with the counter damage. This is looking pretty darn good for MaNa in this game number 1.
Oh, it really, really is. And I got to point this out from MaNa as well. He had the opportunity to hit a massive warp in into the main base, but he recognizes that these 4 Zealots, they're going to kill 7-8 workers. They're going to force BattleB all the way back home, and he'd rather have those warp ins maybe into the 3rd base as the Zealots run in right now, but unfortunately, they hit a bio-ball. So these Zealots, they got to run away. But at this point, MaNa, he's on 73 workers. He's got 4 bases. He's actually not getting gas on his 4th base just yet, but he's got 4 base mineral income. The Zealots are as close to free as any unit can be in this game of StarCraft. So he's happy to throw them away, forcing BattleB home, maybe getting some economic damage as MaNa continues to tech himself up. He's now on 3 Colossus. He now has 1 Disruptor, 2nd one on the way, and adding in that 2nd Robo as well. So eventually, it's going to feel so hard for BattleB to get any sort of pressure as the balls go flying.
That is true, but we do have... This is BattleB dedicating so heavily to this push. He's gone for double Starport Viking. No armory, no additional upgrades. He really wants to get something done. Doesn't even have enhanced shockwaves, which is actually a pretty big deal. We do see Zealots coming in once again to the 3rd base, going to deny a ton of mining time. Even forcing out the snipes is actually pretty big. Ooh, Disruptor on the other side of the map will get dodged. Good job from BattleB. This is still very scary for MaNa right now.
It is a massive army, and the Vikings, they find a great high ground position. 1 Colossus goes down rather quickly indeed, really only getting about 1 Viking as now the bio stims forward, but still there are 2 Colossus right there. Actually, another one's going to go down. So the 3rd Colossus has to join the fray from the right side, but the army of BattleB is just starting to fall right on down here, kiting backwards as well as they can. And the Stalkers are fighting really unsupported, so BattleB, great flip for the shot on the backside is going to really put kibots on everything. But as I say that, the splits of BattleB are fantastic. The 3rd Colossus will finally go down. Disruptors fall as well, and BattleB resets the supply.
That he does, but he does lose a lot to do it. And once again, this was such a dedicated push. He's still got a decent army supply, but he's got no medevacs on the field now. Every stim is going to hurt. And at this point, if MaNa can recognize that, he just wants to start throwing balls at BattleB and just forcing those stims out. That is going to be so difficult to deal with. And now BattleB realizes he needs to slow the game down. He's going to start up the 2nd NG Bay, that armory. But MaNa, he didn't lose his 4th base. He lost a lot of those important tech units, but he didn't lose his disruptors. He kept his stalker count still relatively decent. This is MaNa very much in control of this game. He still needs to be careful here, but I really do like MaNa's position as long as he doesn't rush any engagements, as long as he keeps tabs on where BattleB's army is.
Am I correct? Man, I almost wanted BattleB to pull the boys in that last engagement. I feel like that might have made him push it through. Now, of course, with the Disruptors out, it's not really as useful as it is, but we are getting some medevacs back on the field just a little bit. We actually have too many Vikings right now. There's 1 Colossus, 8 Vikings. That is, well, Vikings are only good against Colossus for the most part. Yeah, sure, probes. Yeah, sure, stalkers, but really bad against Disruptors. But look at this. MaNa taking a page out of Heroes Book. Double Immortal to deal with the insane Marauder count we got from BattleB.
I love it so much right now, especially with, as you mentioned, those paperweight Vikings. They are going to help out so much against this. We do see the Disruptor shot coming on in. Oh, 2nd one does clip a Marauder, and once again sends the army running. Now, BattleB did pump out a full round of medevacs and then some off of his 4 starport production. I'd say 4 starport, 2 starport production. Can build 4 starport units at a time. Oh, now this could be what BattleB needs. He is going to go for the doom of doom drops. But BattleB, he's not going to be able to slip by. MaNa on top of it, sees it coming. And he is going back into double. Oh, wow, he's actually on triple Robo. Oh my goodness, he's going back into Colossus once again, which kind of sucks because that's going to justify these Vikings once again.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, as MaNa, you actually don't want to go into Colossus right now when your opponent has so much dead supply. Once you knock those Vikings down, once BattleB commits to losing them, because, of course, he doesn't want them all that much, he wants better supply. Once he commits to losing them, that's when you transition. That's when you slam that Colossus button down, and then it becomes a problem. You just that ebb and flow. But for right now, as you said, it actually is validating BattleB's supply choices. Oh no, the Stalkers, they find it. 1 medevac goes down. Make it 2, make it 3. He's gonna knock all the medevacs, and even if these Stalkers die, I'm not even convinced they do. It is so damn worth it. The supplies were equal. BattleB taps out. That's it.
He drops the hashtag GG and is forced to leave the game right there. MaNa, he was waiting for that. He was so prepared. He had the observer on the army. He was building the Void Ray to force those units out. BattleB was like, okay, it's a lull. I can get out of here. MaNa's like, the hell you can, and takes game number 1 with that. Those units were absolutely trapped. Great stuff out of MaNa.
Oh, that was well played. There's a certain nostalgia in my heart to watching games end with medevacs, full medevacs getting sniped. You know, I think a Pulp Bomber back in the day is, I think, really the best example, the one that sticks in my head the most. So, you know what? As sad as I feel for BattleB, because that's a really crap way to lose a game, it's kind of fun. So congrats to MaNa. Well played in that game 1. He's 1 game away now from securing his spot here in Group A and invalidating several other matches that are happening right now. But Data C is going to be mapped to. It's a bigger map. I got to feel Steadfast, from what we've seen from BattleB, what I'm aware of BattleB, how he likes to play. A bigger map feels like this is something that does favor MaNa.
Yeah, it's good. We saw BattleB, who's trying to set up for a lot of aggressive pushes, didn't quite work out for him, but we'll see if he can turn it around here in game number 2. It's going to be a tough one. And we've got spawning up in the top right for Berserker Esports, trying to play the role of spoiler. It is BattleB.
His opponent, he's up 1, sniping 4 medevacs and some dreams and some hopes for Team Liquid. It's MaNa.
And at this point, it would be such an exciting story to see MaNa make it into the playoffs once again. He, of course, started off the group with consecutive 1-2s versus Lambo versus Hero Marine. And, you know, it feels like such a lame duck thing to be like, oh, but he looked so good when he was losing. And it's like, what a consolation prize that is. But he did. He really did. And his scoreline does not reflect how well he's been playing. Some of his games have been electric. And now he finds himself just a single map win away from securing that playoff spot in a hotly contested group.
Oh, and we got to point out, Steadfast, this is the first season in quite a while where MaNa and Hearthstone have not been fighting each other on the final day for that 4th seed. So theoretically, this makes it a little easier for MaNa. He doesn't have to fight the captain, who has had his number in years past. I think BattleB is a much more attainable opponent for trying to qualify for 4th place. But BattleB is doing something a little bit different this game. We're not going to see the double gas. We're not going to see the delayed command center. And a Marine is out really to knock down the probe more than anything else. But actually, yeah, this is a Marine opener here. So BattleB, he's going to have a lot of opportunity into the mid game. Marine openers can get you into things like Hellion drops quicker. They can get you into really crazy Widowmine drops. It's probably not going to be cloaked Widowmines, considering that the natural is down. But MaNa's doing a great job of being that little kid behind a tree and just running left and right. He's like, you can't find me. I'm always on the other side. And eventually this will go down as maybe a second Marine gets built. But right now, MaNa's doing such a good job here, being obnoxious as hell.
Oh, I would have loved so much if he'd recalled the probe when it had regenerated its shields to full. I think he could have gotten out with it. That would have been, you talk about mental damage. That would have been some big mental damage for that probe to have gotten out there. It does ultimately go down, but like you said, MaNa playing Ring Around the Rosie, acting like a squirrel on the other side of a tree, just saying, you're never gonna find me. Very, very funny stuff. I love to see that kind of stuff.
Have you seen that video of this guy's got a pet squirrel and it's just on his back, and wherever he reaches the hand, the squirrel runs away?
No, I haven't, but that sounds amazing. That sounds exactly like what we just saw.
But we got something interesting coming in from BattleB right now, adding that second barracks rather early before the starport. And this is actually something that Beyond has been playing around a little bit with. Maybe Hero Marine, you're going to have to tell me Steadfast. But almost playing into this 2-on-1 idea. So normally in PvT and TvP, you have a couple different barracks builds. You'll go 1-1-1 into your second and third barracks, and that's your 6:30 timing, your 7:30 timing, those standard timings. You'll go 3 racks and then add your tech later, and that's a lot of Marines at like the 5-6 minute mark. But this kind of plays in the middle, and it can be something that catches Protoss players off guard because the timing's just a little bit weird.
Yes. It hits at an early timing. It's quite strong. You have that stim at an unexpectedly fast timing. Now, if the Protoss player can figure it out, that can be a big boon for them. But, oh, he did see that second barracks. Okay, that is quite nice. And he sees the third barracks start up on the tech lab as well. This is phenomenal right now. This is going to kind of go into like a modified Ryung opener. It's not quite the same because the timings of the barracks are quite different, but it is going to be a similar concept with that delayed starport. I think he's still going to try and get onto the map with a very early, you know, about 20 supply worth of bio, couple of medevacs at that 6-minute timing, giving up the harassment potential of something like a Widow Mine drop, what have you, but the concept is going to be pretty similar.
Yeah, at the end of the day, right, there are a bunch of different builds, but they're all on similar ideas. Oh, I want to hit it at 6 minutes. Oh, I want to have stim. I want to do whatever. So, yeah, slightly different, but it does seem to have a similar idea, and I love the Oracle positioning, or the Oracle usage that MaNa is leveraging in this game, just doing whatever he can to slow this push down. As behind things, he's adding additional barrier, or additional gateways, excuse me, and the stasis trap triggers exactly as it was supposed to. BattleB wanted to move out right now, but hard to move when you are locked in, what is that, energy?
Oh
No.
Yeah, I figure that's concentrated energy of some kind. I don't know.
Ice. Sure, fine.
Ice? No. What's the Oh, it's more of a concept than anything. Entropy? They're trapped in entropy.
There we go.
Yeah.
All right. They're trapped in the heat death of the universe. Got it, Steadfast. Thank you.
Exactly. Oh man, that scan was just I feel so bad because now I almost feel responsible for that. I was like, BattleB, you should have scanned. And he's like, okay, Steadfast, I got this. And then he scans, his scan's like 0.2 seconds late. And it's like, well, now you just wasted a scan. Gotcha. I'm like, no, I swear I didn't do that on purpose.
I mean, it's still scary to hold this third base here. It's really only an Immortal, and they're just going to get tapped right on down. Immortal staying alive, though, not long enough, and it is dead. Colossus arrives now, and it still feels like that might be something that BattleB can stim upon. I don't know that he keeps this third base up. I don't think MaNa does. But as the stims happen, the army does get a little lowered. It is only 2 medevacs. Looks like MaNa feels like he does need to give this up, and I think that's fair. At the very least, you take the fight to slow down the pressure into the natural. But losing an Immortal a couple centuries for it, I don't know that that was worth Steadfast.
No, that was a very successful push from BattleB right there. MaNa loses his third Nexus while it is like 90% done. He ends up falling, I would say, pretty significantly behind. And he gets supply blocked out of this into the Stone Age. Just now getting himself unblocked. Trying to rebuild that third Nexus, but the third command center is on location at about the same time. BattleB's army supply is going to skyrocket relative to MaNa's. This is a scary game now for MaNa.
It is, but as Colossus start to hit the field more and more, this army of BattleB starts to time itself out a little bit. Yes, sure, Marauders, they fight Colossus fairly well. They don't die nearly as bad as they used to. But it's a lot of AoE damage. Anyways, that being said, MaNa does not want to fight this far forward. He drops the force fields, but this tank is just free-firing on the left side. Meanwhile, we have a drop in the main base that seems to be doing tremendous, terrible damage. In fact, this snipe wiped out almost an entire mineral line. He's going to get the Robo Bay, I think, before Extend Thermal Lance does complete. Yes. Oh, the lifts are trying to do what they can, but there we go. Extend Thermal Lance will be denied. 7 workers denying the ability to build Colossus and the ability for your Colossus to be actually good is such a move from BattleB in this game as he continues to move from strength to strength.
That he does, and MaNa loses track of that 1 medevac. Only 2 Marines, but ends up with a couple of extra dead probes. This will get cleaned up, but oh man, 7 probes going down really from units that pretty much were dead. Nice job from BattleB maximizing the value there. And now MaNa is down 13 workers in this game. That is a ridiculously rough situation. We do have the Oracle on the other side of the map. It was trying to be annoying, and it was successful in being annoying, but now it's dead. And this is starting to get pretty out of hand here for MaNa.
It's more than just out of hand. It's out of foot. It's out of basket. It's out of backpack. It's out of anything that you could use to hold something because, yeah. BattleB is starting to overflow into this game, but what does MaNa do? He continues his Phoenix production because that does provide you tremendous utility. He has his 3 Colossus. He does not go into Disruptors, not yet. because those are expensive, and he doesn't really think he can go there just yet. Instead, Immortals are on the way. And actually, I'm sorry. The Disruptors, of course, are because he did not have a Robo, because that was canceled. That was sniped by BattleB early on. So he has that Immortal. We do have the second Robo. We do have Disruptor play on the way. And Steadfast, if there is a better comeback unit in this game of StarCraft 2 than a Disruptor, I'm not aware of it.
I don't think anyone is. Oh, MaNa is out of position right here. Zealots are going to come across the map, and he does get back in position, actually picks up 4 Marauders. I like that he just drops those back down immediately, says, I'm just going to kill them with the army. Meanwhile, Zealot run by actually not really going to achieve much of anything. Doesn't get any SCV kills, maybe 1. I mean, it kind of distracts BattleB a little bit, but not so bad for BattleB. Now, MaNa, he is the kind of player that if you give him an army and his micro is on point, he will be totally comfortable playing from an economic deficit.
Well, Steadfast, to validate that push that run by just a little bit, it did get a tank. And it did distract BattleB right around the same time that MaNa was able to pick off those 4 Marauders. So I think we can say it's not the best thing ever, but it did kind of almost pay for itself. It did find at least some level of value. And the most important thing is it forces BattleB's army back on his side of the map. MaNa now has space for a 4th base. He's now adding those Disruptors. He has 3. Of course, the magic number for continuous production or continuous balls is 7, so he's getting there pretty quickly. He's finally going to get extended thermal lance. This army that BattleB is going to push with the next time is not going to be nearly as strong in comparison to MaNa's army as it was a minute ago.
That's a good point. That is a good point. Also worth noting that MaNa has been on 4 gates pretty much this whole time. He's just now getting up to that 8-gate setup. All 4 gates coming down at once, well after the 4th base was already started. MaNa really just playing technical StarCraft, saying, you know what? I need to keep my army alive. If I can't, I'm not going to be able to afford to replenish it anyways. Why would I go into the production for this? I just need to stay alive. And you know what? He's successfully done so up until this point. He is down in upgrades, and these tanks are going to be scary. But if these balls can land, MaNa, it's all a moot point.
Oh, those are massive EMPs, though. Immortal goes down immediately. Good shot from the first Disruptor here as they go forward. Actually, they deal with tanks very well indeed, so a tank will fall. And actually, I don't think he got any Disruptors, maybe 1. So nice trades from MaNa to start, but he needs time. He needs cooldowns here to make sure that these Disruptors go on. And oh, BattleB does not want to give him that shot on the front side from the Disruptors. He's going to do what it can. EMPs blanket this entire army, and Vikings sitting on top of everything. You talk about keeping MaNa's army alive. Well, it's just not going down. EMPs tremendously effective, and BattleB, he's up 70 supply at this point. He found the opportunity as the Disruptors were on cooldown. Stims forward, knocks the 3rd base of MaNa down, and now it is 4 Disruptors and a prayer. But it does not appear that BattleB is a praying man. Disruptors are great. They do knock these tanks down. But Steadfast, it is the bio that I'm worried about, and it does not seem like MaNa is ready just yet, although that is a good shot. That does slow BattleB down.
It does slow him down, but even if he wiped out this whole army at this point, he's lost his 3rd base, which brings him back down to 3 bases. We do see the drop coming into the natural expansion. MaNa needs to clean this up basically without losing anything. And he is going to lose the Robo. The Zealots are having to fight through their own wall to get into this fight. And frankly, that was too much damage. Far too much damage.
Now, Steadfast, sometimes when there is clutter in your house, you need to remove it as quick as possible because it does not spark joy. That pylon did not spark joy.
No, it did not. It sparked a lot of rage, I think, from MaNa, if we're being honest. We are going to be seeing the blink being chrono boosted up here from MaNa at such a late timing here. He wasn't able to do really anything to prevent the Vikings from just gunning down his Colossus. And that was a weakness that BattleB was able to exploit pretty effectively. And now we've got this drop coming in on the top side. MaNa does see it, so that's something.
Hey,
Well, I mean, unless he can kill it without taking any losses, once again, MaNa is like double the army supply down.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. You know, Steadfast, Phoenix are very much a pre-ghost timing. They're great when they have lifts, when they don't get EMP'd all to hell. But as that happens, it does mean you do need to add Blink Stalkers. They add a little bit more utility, but MaNa will lose the north side base. In fact, he's going to lose the bottom side base at the same time. I think MaNa just needs to cancel this one. Ball goes out, but not really there. And now it is zoned out. The Liberators making it so hard for MaNa to enter this fight. The Zealots run forward, and they're going to be okay with that one. Stalker's now knocking down a 2nd Liberator, but it's not going to save the base. And as the Vikings, they do land, BattleB is up 60 supply. We got a recall back into the main base because this drop is where the rest of BattleB's supply is. And we might even just see him pick up and run. Blink is not done, but instead he just targets the disruptors right the hell on down. Second one's going to fall here. And it's just 1-1 Stalkers versus 2-2 Bio Steadfast. That is not a story that anyone ever tells you because it is depressing.
Yeah, it is a tough one right here. MaNa will be forced to tap out. BattleB with a great game number 2. And now it comes down to one map. MaNa, it was a rough game right there. A lot of things went against him, but he can still salvage this with a victory in game 3. It doesn't matter what the scoreline is. He just needs to win the series. Can he stay focused and make it happen in game number 3?
I think he had room to win game 2. I mean, eventually he took too much damage and he fell apart. Right around that fight at the third base. I think if he just gives his third base up, retreats back to the main, does not lose that immortal, does not lose those sentries, cleans up the army better, then that means he can deal with the drop better, and it just snowballs ahead to this game that MaNa can actually feel comfortable playing in. But because he lost that because he committed to holding the third and still lost it, didn't work out all that well for him. And part of that also is just scouting. He didn't quite realize this was a 2-on-1. He didn't realize it was a 6-minute stim. And you play the game very differently. You add additional gateways. You get more low-tech units. You get, say, more immortals instead of moving to Colossus play. And that allows you to hold that third base. So scouting, I think we need to see it happen better from MaNa. I think if you don't scout, at least identify when you cannot hold a position a little bit better. And that is going to have to be the name of the game from him in game number 3. As we move into Tropical Sacrifice, it's another big map, Steadfast.
That it is a large map. The biggest, I think of this one as the biggest one in the pool. Even if the numbers don't say it's the biggest one, this one feels like it's the biggest playground. Like there's every part of the map is important. You know, you think about what's the other big map? The Cosmic Sapphire. Oh, Data Sea is pretty big, but I think of like Cosmic Sapphire. I guess Data Sea, Cosmic Sapphire, and Tropical Sacrifice are all pretty big. But I think of Cosmic Sapphire as like the other really big map. A lot of that map ends up being invalid for a lot of the game. Like that top right portion doesn't seem that relevant. For Tropical Sacrifice, it always feels like the entire map is in play at all times.
Yeah, it makes it a lot of fun, especially if we move into that 5th base setup where it's so hard to take the 5th. But we'll talk about that more in a second because we do have game 3 and we got to get into it.
And here we go, trying once again to play the role of spoiler. But more importantly, to get himself a little bit of money in the pocket for Berserker Esports, it's BattleB.
In the bottom left, one map stands between absolute exultation and bitter defeat. He is for Team Liquid. It's MaNa.
And he starts things off with something rather interesting. It is going to be a gateway on the low ground, followed up by a rather quick scout. The scout, not that big of a deal. The low ground gateway, though. This makes me feel like he wants to chrono boost an adept and get it across the map as quickly as possible. We'll see. It's hard to say exactly, but that is what my instincts are telling me.
I'll buy those instincts, Steadfast. They're well hewn, I guess, well trained. And one thing we got to point out as we talk about these big maps is we don't really have a map this season that is simultaneously big with a massive rush distance. Even Tropical Sacrifice, Data Sea, Cosmic Sapphire, the natural to natural distance is not that far away. It's pretty attainable, which is kind of fun here for me. We have these big maps. I mean, Moondance is like the really big one. Is I gotta assume that pylon is going to be there just for a Stargate or something.
Oh no, I was highlighting that the pylon was late. So this adept that should have popped out at 220 is now at 225. So any hope of getting across the map quickly, if that was his plan, is, well, it's null.
That's unfortunate. At least it's going to be able to maybe deny the Reaper onto the high ground, but BattleB just dives forward into the natural. He's so reticent about this. Doesn't really know where the Adept is, but Now Adept gets one shot. Probes can go down to the natural long distance mine, and BattleB, he's in, he's out, he's up, he's down. Shake it all around.
Indeed, indeed. Not able to get the scout on that Stargate, just missing it by a little bit here. But MaNa, I mean, a lot of things did not go well for him in that previous game. Things looked okay for a decent bit, but like you said, the attack around the third base really felt like he needed to give that position up, and I think he got a little bit overconfident, underestimated the value of that tank spot that kind of overlooks the third base. It shoots across the back, so to speak, because he was able to clear out the previous army pretty well, and sometimes that overconfidence can lead to utter disaster. I think that's pretty much what we saw here. We are going to be seeing the Adepts unable to prevent the scout. I think MaNa, with a little bit of better micro, might have been able to do so. In fact, now he's going to lose another probe as well. Oh, that's annoying. This Reaper getting a lot more value than I feel like it should have been able to do.
And we got to point out here as well, this will be one of my drops coming in from BattleB. But MaNa, he went Stargate opener, but it's not... Okay, there we go. There is the Phoenix on the way, which actually does make life rather nice for MaNa. You just lift up everything as Oracle dives in, runs into a whole clutch of Marines. And actually, I'm sorry, I said Widowmine drops? That's a lot of Marines on a medevac early, so we might see some of these interesting combined pressures that we've been seeing from players like Hero Marine, players like Beyond, where you do get those early Marines in the medevac, you drop them, you also get some Widowmines or you get some tech units. Oracle dives in, trying to figure out what's happening, does get the scout there on the second and third barracks. So at least MaNa understands the bones of what's happening.
Yeah, he knows that, once again, this is not going to be that dedicated of a push, and I'd like to see a third Nexus in behind this. I'd like to see, you know, a little bit more aggressive teching. There we go. There's the Twilight Council coming down at the same time as the Robotics Bay. Maybe even dump a few extra Chronos into probes, but I definitely don't want to see him, you know, pumping out an Immortal. Well, here it comes on down. It's not that Immortals are bad, it's that you can get more value, I think, earlier going for something like a quicker third base.
That is fair. I think MaNa might just be a little gun-shy from how really Game 1 and Game 2 went. Game 1, he held well enough. It was still a little awkward around the third base, so... And Game 2, obviously, he kind of died around his third. It took a while longer for him to actually die, but it started there. So getting a couple more units early does make some level of sense. And I thought we were going to be moving into Phoenix play, and I guess we kind of are, but it's only 3 Phoenix. That's a really weird number, Steadfast. Luckily, they will find this drop and will prevent the fantastic damage that BattleB is looking for. Nice lifts, but it takes a while for 1 Phoenix to go and kill 2 Wooden Mines like this with the lift. But as they fall, they fall. And the medevac is just going to be a rather expensive scout at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think he's trying to bluff that there's a third Widowmine in there and hoping that MaNa might just pull probes, you know, preemptively, but that's not going to happen. Like you said, it will just end up being a very expensive scout. Oh my God, MaNa, please. MaNa. No.
MaNa, please.
Oh, no, don't actually lose track of this. Like, that's just so silly.
Oh, the Phoenix are rotating. He realized he lost track. The Phoenix go on the bottom. Okay, they find it now. They were going all to the bottom side of the map. They had no idea where that was. But this Colossus out here, I don't think this pressure. Oh, good force field from MaNa. He gets a bunch of Marines down. I was gonna say, I don't think this pressure gets much done, and it appears that he will be correct for the moment. But there is another round and a drop going into the main base here with only 3 Phoenix. That's not a massive shutdown force, and they're woefully out of position anyways. And MaNa can't really recall because there's a decent amount of army on the third base that is waiting to get on top of things. But now the Phoenix, they arrive, and it will be a recall regardless. MaNa does not appear to have left anything at the third base. Widowmine will get the burrow off, and BattleB, he's just starting to tear MaNa apart here.
That he is. BattleB's supply is starting to really wax while MaNa's is starting to wane just a little bit. He cannot afford to lose this third base, but it is going to go down. MaNa is in so much trouble right now. He can feel his playoff hopes slipping away before his very eyes.
Steadfast, he supply blocked all hell as well. He just can't build anything to respond to this. And this means as the Terran gets more and more aggressive, as they start dropping more and more, you cannot respond. So we have more pylons on the way. Eventually, this Phoenix will pop out. Eventually, Charge will complete all these wonderful upgrades and units. But for right now, BattleB has absolutely bought himself a wonderful position in this game number 3. Now, MaNa's not out of it just yet. He's in a bad spot. We've seen him come back from things, and you know, there were moments in that last game where you started to think, okay, maybe he hits the right shots. This is going to be okay. This is maybe going to be a dead Phoenix, but goes back in time. The question, though, MaNa got almost to an equalizing position in game 2. Can he get over that hump? Can he actually equalize this game now as we are in game 3?
I mean, it's going to be pretty rough. You said it best. You said he cannot recall into the main base. He cannot afford to. And then right as you said that, he did, and the results were catastrophic for him. Now, BattleB does still need to be careful. He doesn't want to just throw away units right here, and that's why he just stims and gets on out of here. He's the one now with a substantial economic lead. It is BattleB who has more workers. It is BattleB who's been mining from this third base for longer. MaNa just now resecuring this third. I mean, I'm not even sure what MaNa can do to try and fight back in this one. He just needs to defend perfectly. But BattleB is finding openings in many a location. We're going to see a bit of a collapse on this army, but the robotics bay goes down. Oh, MaNa, can he target down the one medevac? He does get it with a lot of units inside. That is a decent start in terms of equalizing these supplies. MaNa, please, can we... MaNa, it's a 7 health Marauder. Just shoot it once. Thank you.
He gets it down at the very least. Man, unfortunately, that medevac, it was able to unload a little bit. So it was not the glorious bounty of a 10, 12 supply that you might otherwise find. But we got to point this out. BattleB, he lost game 1. He did not get enhanced shockwaves to deal with the MaNa. Game 2, he did get enhanced shockwaves to deal with the MaNa. And we won game 2. Enhanced shockwaves will now be taken in game number 3, which means the MaNa will again be stripped away. But he does have his 4th base on the way. He's going to try to sneak this out in a position that you actually normally don't get. Normally you get the triangular position as you're so wonderfully showing us. But I guess what MaNa is thinking here is, okay, well, it is less likely that I get the linear base, so maybe BattleB will let me get away with it.
Yeah, the thing is, though, if BattleB just, like, finds MaNa even a little bit out of position, he can just gun this base down so quickly, and if MaNa does recall, then his everything is exposed. I hate this with a passion. I hate taking this base as his 4th. Like, he is already going to be spread thin. This is already going to be a difficult setup. Now he does see the main army moving out with that observer that was so well placed by MaNa, and he kind of sprints over to the other side. These Vikings, though, they're going to find themselves in a great position. Once again, battery overcharge will get popped. No, he's able to keep the one Colossus alive for a little while, but he doesn't have much in terms of anti-air. He's got 3 Stalkers, 3 Archons, and 2 Phoenix. Oh, and a Sentry to try and deal with the Vikings. That is not a whole lot.
I mean, Sentry's the most important thing. Actually, unironically, Sentry probably is the most important thing there for Guardian Shield.
Guardian Shield, yeah.
But yeah, Blink is only 2/3 of the way done here. You do need Blink Stalkers to deal with the Vikings, especially on a map like that, to see that has such wonderful high ground positions. Vikings go forward. Zealous trying to get on top. One Colossus is just dead. MaNa, he needs to take this fight or run away, and he's kind of doing neither. Shot goes off, targeting it down. Disruptors, they all go down, not finding the juicy shot that BattleB is looking for, and he opens up a 30 army supply lead once again as MaNa kites backwards. The Vikings, though, they are absolutely unfettered here. They can do whatever the hell they want. BattleB running forward. Archons now falling. MaNa's hopes and dreams falling, as well as all the tech is down. The force field of Vikings on the bottom side. Some will get lifted, but not enough. One final disruptor shot gets a decent one here, and BattleB, he retreats back for a second, but that is only for him to buy some time, buy some space, bring his army together, because MaNa has lost absolutely everything here in this game 3.
He has his supply plummeted right there. He lost 50, or he's down just about 50 army supply. Now the drop comes in. It is just a single drop with 6 Marines, but it kills 5 probes, forces a bit of lost mining time. MaNa finally does have his blink and will be able to clear this drop out. But man, oh man, this disruptor needs to be huge, but he's not paying attention. Battery overcharge, not even able to save it, so it's just a wasted spell at that point. Second disruptor does catch a ghost, but BattleB is dancing around MaNa. Now, these disruptors, they are coming out 2 at a time. Oh, can he get the shot? He's going to go for it, but the EMP is way too much. And I think this is all she wrote right here. Zealous going to try and come on in to stem the blood flow, but it is not going to be enough. MaNa was on the verge of victory, but he will not be able to make it happen. The Robos get depowered. BattleB is going to win his first series of the day. or his first series of the group, and it is going to come at the worst time for MaNa here.